gonna do for a while, as long
Yeah.
as you own a boat.
No, I thought it was you.
I know you
Just
bought
think
that.
later.
You told me about it.
For real.
It's a good boat. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and call the, November meeting of the Lakeview Fire Protection Board of Directors to order. Roll call, please.
I get the latest one. Brandon is absent. Sonia here. Doug,
Here.
Daniel,
Here.
George,
Yeah.
absent. Mike, absent. And Daryl.
Daryl's here.
Daryl's here.
All righty, who wants to open us up with some prayer?
I would. Lord, we thank you for this day and for this time together for our community. Pray that you would help us to have the right attitudes and the right mind and guide us with your wisdom. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
How many, we need to make a note there, we'll check the minutes and then see how many, meetings Mr. Fisher has been absent for in a row so far. We'll just make a note of that. Alrighty, previous month's minutes, Ms. Whitaker, would you mind?
Okay, now we have two. Do you want me to read both of them? We have the
One's a month and one's an
the
annual.
monthly and the members.
Start with the, let's start with the
That's, so
annual
that's, so
minutes.
this one, we'll need to do, like, annual.
The one that was on top with it, and then three.
Start with the, annual
That's this
minutes.
one, annual. This is annual. You know, I got to have at least one on here. All right, meeting called to order by Brandon at 7:03. Prayer, George Dykes, members present. Brandon, Sonia, Doug, Daniel, George, and Steve. Absent was Mike Fisher. Prior minutes from 2021 read by Sonia Whitaker. Motion to approve with typo changes and add numbers from elections made by motion was made by Jan Smith, second by Daniel, approved by all. Treasurer's report read by Doug, last year's budget as well as the new proposed budget. After discussion with members, Janet Wilson made a motion to accept the new budget, second by Jan Dickerson, approved by all. Floor was then open for nominations for new board member, as Steve Johnson's position was now open. Daniel Griffin nominated Daryl Oden. No other nominations were made, so Daryl accepted the position and will be sworn in the monthly meeting following the members' meeting. Committee reports of communications. Doug Ballou did not have anything to report, but did want to thank Steve for his years of service. Chief Harris also expressed his appreciation for Steve's service. Dues committee, will need to meet one more time to finalize hazmat fees. Mary Christensen asked about the exemptions as related to unimproved property. If someone owns multiple properties and has an exemption for their homestead, she was advised that only the homestead would be exempt, and that the admin staff is working with the county records to make sure all the information matches. Motion to adjourn at 7:40 by Kelly Rowland, second by Daniel Griffin, approved by all.
Under treasurer's, prior minutes, you said about made by Jan Smith, and then under treasurer's report, you say Jan Dickerson. And it's Jan
Is
Dickerson.
that the same person?
It's Jan Dickey Smith.
I think it was a different person who actually made that.
Yeah.
Cause I remember you specifically saying what's your name was.
Oh, okay, I just, because it was so close to Dickey, that's why I thought there was,
I was thinking that too, and then I was like, wait a
Okay.
minute, it was another.
that,
Well, I specifically asked her last name.
okay, well, that was the only thing that jumped out at me.
Okay.
I'll entertain a motion to accept.
Make a motion to accept the members' meeting minutes as read.
Alright, got a motion on the floor, do I have a second or any discussion? I have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed? Motion carries.
And who was the second?
Daryl. Alrighty, you would be so kind as to proceed with the monthly board minutes.
Yes, I will. Okay, meeting called to order by Brandon Jones at 7:50. Members present, Brandon Jones, Sonia Whitaker, Doug, Daniel Griffith, George, and Daryl Oden. Can never pronounce his name. Absent was Mike Fisher. Treasurer's report, September report will be given at the November meeting. Board members were sworn in for the new year. Chief Harris gave staffing update, 1303 back in service, ladder truck sent for new tires, ServPro come out, recommended the company hired for the linoleum, sheetrock, and flooring removal, all wear N95 mask and dispose of materials appropriately. Once completed, ServPro will come back out and spray before new construction begins. Chief is taking bids, but nothing confirmed. George Dykes has offered to help with the flooring. All mutual aid agreements have been signed, nothing new on grants, but no rejection notices have been received. 90 calls last month. Staff was advised of an increase in drug-related calls, particularly fentanyl. Officers were then elected as follows. President Daniel Griffin, nominated by Brandon, second by George, approved by all. Vice President Brandon, nominated by, that should be Daniel. Second by George, approved by all. Treasurer Doug, nominated by Brandon, second by George, approved by all. Secretary Sonia, nominated by George, second by Brandon, approved by all. Prior minutes from the last meeting read by Sonia. Brandon asked that we add, we need to discuss the need for an ordinance addressing the need for sprinklers between the houses being built in the preserve that are very close together. It was discussed when we were addressing the hydrants, and that was the previous minutes. Sonia will add, motion to approve with changes by Doug, second by Daniel, approved by all. Then I read the minutes from the special called meeting on 9:30. Meeting called to order by Daniel at 5. All members were present except Brandon. Motion to accept the minutes is written by George Dykes, second by Brandon, approved by all. There were no committee reports, communications, fire felon. He said we had $200 received from fire recovery, nothing from dues committees, we addressed that in the first one. No old business, no new business. Public input, Mary Christian asked who was responsible for the upkeep and accessibility of public records. She was advised that the admin staff and all board members share that responsibility, and the admin staff are overseen by the chief. She asked about staffing. Chief said that one firefighter was terminated, but recruiting new staff is ongoing. Tracy asked if fill-in staff were covered under workman's comp. She was advised they were. She asked if the chief had a discretionary fund and was advised that there wasn't one in place yet, but he can order supplies that are needed. She asked about a check that was written to Doug and was advised it was for a refrigerator. Requested to know what the expense to Ameritire was for. It was for tires for $1,305. She then asked about the septic tank repair being more than was budgeted. Was advised that some of that cost will be reimbursed by the company that damaged it. She asked about Walmart, Amazon charges, and was advised by that board members authorize the purchases before a check to pay the invoice is signed. Kelly Rowland asked about how Station 2 is coming along. Daniel advised he will be meeting with the mayor to discuss what is needed to open and staff the station. Opening the station is a priority ahead of the new bridge construction. Chief added that the mutual aid agreements recently signed will be very important once the construction begins. He also asked if fundraisers are planned and was told that while none are planned at this time, we do have a committee and we'll be checking to see what can be planned. George Dykes made a motion to adjourn at 8:20, second by Brandon Jones, approved by all. And there was something in the September minutes that Mary questioned, and I told her that I'd watch the video and get back with her. I'm gonna wait until if she's at the next meeting, because I'd like for her to read it before I finalize it.
Okay.
There was a question I had written on the minutes that she had said something, and it actually wasn't her that said it, it was Tracy, so I fixed
Public,
it.
Public input?
Yes.
We'll just make a motion based off of what's on the tape, or we can simply strike.
Yeah, I watched it 20 times. I even bought headphones so I could listen better.
But we'll address that in a second, let's finish these
Okay.
first.
No, yeah.
I'll entertain a motion to accept these minutes.
Motion.
A motion to accept the minutes.
Second.
Have a second.
This is,
You ready, Sonny?
yes.
All in favor?
Alright, who made the motion?
Darryl,
Daryl, and who's second?
Doug. Motion carried.
Okay.
Now, let's talk about these amended minutes. Would you like to read the amendments?
This is what public input is, I'm on almost word from word off the video. Mary Christians asked how much the attorney charged for processing the paperwork for Tracy Pierce's lot and why the members do not get a more detailed report of expenses and salaries. Brandon advised that individual salaries are not public information and asked specifically what information she was asking for. And that's where Tracy, advised that they were wanting the breakdown of how much Martha, Catherine, and the chief make. Catherine advised that all their salaries are in the minutes, but shared that she works 10 hours a week at $16 an hour. Daniel stated that we were not charged for the property in question. He also advised that the financial report given out is just an overview of the finances, not a detailed report. Members can ask for specific information from the admin staff if they want more information. That's what I changed.
And the only change is Tracy Pearson's name.
Yes, it's pretty much, yes, that she was the one that asked the question, it wasn't Mary.
I'll entertain a motion to amend the minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the amended minutes for
September.
September as read.
Have a motion, do I have a second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Alright, financial report.
For the new year, we've transitioned to a new format, which is more of a dashboard. It flows better, similar expenses are grouped together, so we kind of get a better feel for what we got going on. We started the month with $39,744.52 in checking, $75,010.59 in savings, for a total of $114,755.11. We brought in revenue at $20,247.16. Our expenses, oddly enough, were almost exactly that, $20,244.52. That left us with a total bank balance of $114,757.75, with $39,738.69 of that being in the checking account and $75,1906 being in the savings account.
Anything stick out to anybody? The only thing that sticks out to me is we actually collected more in delinquent dues than we did current dues.
I would just like to point out Catherine is the brains behind this, and she's the one who put the work into it. Why it looks so good.
Very much. So, any questions from the board? Entertain a motion to accept. The motion on the floor to accept the financial report is given. Need a second?
That's it.
Second from Mr. Oden. Any discussion? All in favor? Motion carries. This is a point of order. Technically, we should have discussion between the motion and the second. That's on me. That's when it's supposed to happen. Alrighty. Let's see here. The chief has not given us an actual report. this
I'm the
time. Or do you have the chief report? Aha!
I'm the chief.
Shame on you for not putting it
Your
in the
hair's
list
long.
with everybody else.
If I put it in your packet, then we have to score it.
That's okay.
We don't have an actual report, we just have, something I'm reading
A
on.
memo.
Yes. Personnel, Kane Sellers and Christian Doyle are still attending finish professional firefighter school until December sixth. John Garner is working on catching up the pre-fire plans, which will be an ongoing over the next year. We welcome back Aaron Church. Chad and Aaron will be picking up shifts on the, open shifts on the C shift. All trucks are running, deck's ongoing. Serpro came out and looked at the room back here. Chief's already talked with the city, he's gonna try to get permits and everything, cause there might be some asbestos in this. And so it will have to be handled. So, disposed of. Many of our personnel are locked into training and other campuses and online. We are also having classes each Thursday night from 1600 to 1900. Each volunteer and paid staff receives 72 hours of combined training for the month of September. Gary Johnson took and passed fire instructor 1 class. We applied for the Gary Sinisi grant. We ran 51 calls for the month of October, 24 calls at Station 1 territory, 17 calls in Station 2, 7 in Abernathy, and 2 in Jefferson County. Open reminder, we have seen an increase in drug-related calls, especially drug overdoses. I have reminded the paid staff and volunteers to make sure law enforcement is dispatched and secures the scene before we approach these patients. We will soon get together with Brookwood Fire and Antioch and strengthen our mutual aid agreements. We had a fire recovery check of $500.
Okay. Committee reports. We got something from our dues committee?
Yes, we do.
We have our dues committee.
We have it. Do you want me to go over it or just?
Yes, let's go ahead and go over what we got proposed, what the dues committee has come up with.
Okay, now, houses, single wide and double wides have now been consolidated into one, which is livable structures. We talked about that several times, because there was a big discrepancy in, how much we're paying for each, but those are all considered livable structures. But current is $75 for houses. In 2024, we wanna go to 125, 2026, 145, 2028, 165, 2030, 185, 2034, 200. For single wide trailers, that will go from 35 to 125. In 2026, it'll be 145, 28, 165, 2030, 185. Well, they're all the same.
Yeah, cause we consolidated it into one thing, like,
So, yes, that will be the same for all. Vacant land, currently 3% or $75, whichever is lesser of the assessed value of all real property. Proposed, $10 for vacant land per owner for every parcel owned. And again, we went over the exemptions last time too, if they, if they have multiple, properties, the exemption only applies to
Their homestead.
their homestead. Yes. Now, do you want me to read all these hazmat fees?
Looks like, just give us the highlights.
like the hazmat fee just actually goes up once, the different categories is the stuff.
Yeah, there are several categories for hazmat fees based on how big the building is. So, starting at 1,601 to 3,000 square feet, currently is $250.
Like,
This line is
Less
the
than
hazmat, this is just their fire dues.
Oh, that's fire dues.
So everybody, their hazmat would be,
Hazmat's just gonna, and this is for all the years, hazmat's gonna go 300 to 800 for all entities that have a hazmat fee. Then the fire dues is what's based on the square footage. So it goes from 225 currently to 5,500. That is gonna go up from a base of 300 to 6,000 in 2024. 26, it's gonna go from 400 to 6,100. 2028, 800 to 6,200, and again, this is based on
500.
what?
5 to 600.
500 to 6,200, 600 to 20, or 6,300 in 2030. In 2034, it's gonna go from 7 to 6,400. Again, this is based on the square feet of the building or the business.
And it says buildings with an excess of 2 levels in height can be $300.
I believe that's current, I don't think that, we changed that at all.
Alright, so we
So
now
that,
have,
that's the proposal.
What about, like, hotel rooms? We did any hotels?
gonna be followed, they'll be filed with the, it'd be.
So much per room? Yeah.
Well, no, it'd be the square footage of the total building and then plus $300 per
Okay.
level above too, so.
Okay.
You know something we don't?
No.
Just the hotels are probably coming in.
Depends on what company, who owns the hotel.
So, we do now
It's
have
nice, it won't be too bad.
the dues committee report. Since we do have the dues committee report, I will make the motion that we dissolve the dues committee, as it is no longer necessary.
You know, want to keep us around like for what is it?
Moral support?
Moral support or public.
I second it since you,
Yeah.
took me off of it.
Ah!
You're probably already.
kicked yourself off of
You
it.
kicked yourself off of
I
it.
had a motion and a second. All in favor?
Alright,
Motion carries. The dues committee is now dissolved.
Give me a minute right now.
Do we have any other committee reports, fundraising people and things of that nature?
Do we have somebody on that?
We don't have a
committee?
fundraiser.
There's the fundraising committee
Oh,
right
that's the
there.
fundraising committee.
Well, as it happens, I heard that Santa is coming back to town in December on the 17th. And if we could, either take up donations for candy or money, to purchase some candy for Santa to hand out, that would be great. His route and stops will not be announced until the 1st of December, but, he is excited that he is coming back.
Okay, so we got Santa route on December 1. How will that route be announced?
Social media, and we can announce it here, on our website as well, but mostly social media. Anybody who's familiar with last year's route, we gave him an escort, and we announced, where he was going, times on social media, so we'll try and do that again this year. So, check Facebook for the most part, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram.
One thing people need to know too, because of the way Nextdoor operates, Nextdoor essentially treats the fire department almost like basically treats us like a business. You will not see anything from the fire district, unless you choose to follow the fire district on Nextdoor. And the fire district cannot reply to comments.
I also could not see your whole name, so if you send a message saying, I didn't get my fire dues, and you don't follow up with me, it'll say like Susie S, but I have no idea who Susie S is, it won't tell me your neighborhood, or I can't help you.
Yeah, Nextdoor is by far the least useful of the social media sites, pretty much for everything, but definitely when it comes to the fire district.
Oh, it's good for arguing.
It's good for arguing,
Yeah,
and it's
that's
good for
fine.
people
No
who,
doubt.
it's good for people who complain, but then don't actually go to where they need to go to get the information they want. And it's also good for a good bit of borderline libel. Got some people we got some people in the community who don't have the guts to actually name names, but want to sit there and accuse people of trying to get rich off $75 dues. I don't know how anybody's getting rich off $75 a month dues.
Operating on $75.
We can't even operate on it, let alone get rich on it.
Honestly.
So, yeah, they're welcome to come bring their complaints in front of the board, but I seriously don't think they will, because Nextdoor is a little bit more,
So say, it's,
a little bit safer for them.
yeah. Poke your head out.
So, anything else from our announcement? Actually, if you would like to go ahead and start putting together an actual fundraising committee, we probably need to do some more fundraising activities and do some more community outreach. That probably needs to be a little bit more of a formal committee. We need to probably get a board member and an officer on it with you. Doesn't have to be chief, but it needs to be an officer.
Big
Not for the
offer,
community, not for,
not for the fire department.
like the Santa community outreach, so.
There's some kind of about if you're a fire district, it limits some of that fundraising.
Exactly.
So you
So
step
that's-
into a different territory there. You know, we can't hold the booth and sell the pictures because we're a fire district.
Yeah, it's kinda like a
We're not just
municipality.
We're not a volunteer fire department. So
Which,
there's some legalities there on fundraising.
which is definitely something we need to have brought up, and that's probably why we need to have a committee, is we need more heads working on this stuff, cause, let's face it, there was a whole lot of boot shaking that went on, with not a lot of real results to it, in the past, and we're a district, not a volunteer department, we've been a district for a long time, so we need to make sure we're doing good on all that stuff. But, at the same time, we need to get people, we need to be more in the community.
Yes.
The best way to combat this very small minority of citizens that are district members that wanna basically stir up fires, you know, pun intended, on, social media, best way to fight that is to actually have more involvement with the community itself, and to be more visible and at least as much as we can while still being responsible and providing coverage. So, anybody got any questions for any committees? So, do you have an EMS report or communications? Old
The
business.
EMS was, you know, I
Is
gave
that
the
what
call
this is?
report.
That's
Yeah.
just, that's
I
all
gave the
report.
call report.
You know, what she gave with the fire chief's report. Dues update, where we at on?
We have all of the invoices uploaded. At this point, there are some we're still like, John sold his house to Susie, and Susie sold her house to Aunt B, and we're having to track the houses down.
So if someone has not received an invoice by now and they sold, you know, cousin, aunt, hey, whatever, if they could contact us, that would actually be very helpful. Especially if it was you know, they sold it themselves, because it doesn't always go through the county right away, so it just comes back.
I'm assuming you're referring to quit claim deeds and not actually using closing attorneys and
Correct.
Well-
sorting things properly.
What they sent us, they told us when they sent it to us, it was not 100% correct because they had just installed their new system.
Yeah.
I found houses from 2020 on this list that sold in 2020, and I just remembered them and knew to look them up and change them. But they sent an updated list, so we're trying to go through that list and compare. But I've already got, you know, several phone calls of, I sold my house 3 months ago, so we're swapping them out.
How,
And there will be like one more batch this week probably of invoices, just regular invoices going out.
how are we doing on, past due collections with the attorney?
Right
We
now,
got
we're doing
$10,000
most of our
worth.
collecting ourselves. She's still got 6 out of the 8 that have not been collected.
Well, I mean,
I don't
they ain't
know
paid for
I don't
20
know what their
years, so.
status is, but,
They ain't paid for 20 years, so,
yeah.
we'll get a report from her, and then, let's get a report from her, and we may need to move forward on those 6, and then let her send letters to the next batch. And, you know, you tell people you're gonna sue them, you may as well sue them. Start taking some action on some of these liens. Have we uncovered any more of these wonderful, clerical errors that have occurred over the past, well, everything but the last 2 years? People's names misspelled in releases and all that kind of fun stuff.
Oh, you watched the fire truck 5 years ago, what the, you didn't correct that?
Well, I'm more referring to people who actually showed up and paid past dues.
Yeah.
And then somebody misspells their name on the lien
Yeah.
release or puts it on the wrong address and doesn't release their lien.
Yes, I paid, I promise.
No, they did pay.
Well, they did pay, that's,
They did pay, it's just that,
Some paid, some didn't.
you know, there's some of them that are just like, yeah, sure, I paid, you must have misspelled my name too. They're like, hey, you misspelled your name, you spelled Wayne Creek Casino instead of Lakeview
Yeah.
Fire District on that check. All right, anybody else got old business? All right, new business. chief had said he had some ordinances that he's hoping to get pushed through by the city.
You have a copy of it.
I have a copy, well, I don't have a copy of the ordinances, I have a copy of the chief's version of these ordinances.
Right, those are his proposals
Yes.
for an ordinance.
So, just so we're all 100% clear on this, we can't do any kind of ordinance. We have to go to the mayor and council and tell them, hey, we would like to see these things passed in the form of a municipal ordinance. And really what it does is it just takes some of the codes that are already related to fire protection and gives them teeth so that they can be enforced. It allows Lakeview Police to enforce them, Lakeview Code Enforcement to assist, and it allows us to inspect and basically, you know, fire. Right now, if you got any legal burn going on, about all we can do is go over there and say, hey, you gotta put that out and put it out if it's a threat, and that's about it. They can actually keep us off their property even though they're doing something illegal. Now, we can actually enforce, or if these pass, we would be able to enforce, and we would be able to get Lakeview PD to come out and start slapping out. So basically, they can slap out the fines and, you know, enforcement actions based on what we see.
But that would only apply to the city of Lakeview,
Actually, it would apply to the entire police jurisdiction, which is gonna be the majority of our district. There is gonna be some parts of our fire district that we wouldn't be able to enforce in, because they're outside of Lakeview's jurisdiction. A good example is over, if you go out into Vance and you get on the Joy Drive, technically, Joy Drive, pretty much the entirety of Joy Drive is in the district. I think the entirety of Joy Drive is in the district. But the police jurisdiction for Lakeview stops right at the corner of Joy and Anne Marie. That's like the far edge of it. So you wouldn't happen there unless there's more annexations. But it would also grow with the annexations of Lakeview and the expansion of the city. So, actually, I know about one annexation that as soon as it gets through the House of Representatives in March, it is gonna basically mean our entire district is gonna be.
be in the town of Lakeview,
Mhm.
or city of Lakeview.
Well, being the police jurisdiction.
Or be in,
So it's basically, it's as long, the police and planning jurisdiction is where these would extend out to. So, the first one, I'm gonna go ahead and read through this. This is obviously not in the appropriate legal language it would need to be for an ordinance, but this is the general proposal and the gist of it. Fire code management, this is for apartment management. Lakeview Fire Protection District now prohibit charcoal burners and any other open flame cooking devices to be operated on a balcony or within 10 feet of an apartment or condominium. Responsibility for ensuring compliance will be the management staff of the multifamily residential occupancies with balconies, decks, or patios. In other words, it's the landlord's job to make sure you're not doing it. Tenants should be notified in writing of cooking prohibitions when they initially occupy the building and periodically thereafter, as may be necessary to ensure compliance. If the tenant does not comply with the regulations, people can contact would be able to contact Lakeview Police or Lakeview Fire to basically come out and look at it and enforce as necessary. Fire Protection District or Lakeview Police Department staff officer would be assigned to write a citation and initiate whatever other action is necessary in conjunction with Lakeview Police. Liquid propane gas grills would not be allowed to be stored on any balcony. Liquid propane gas tanks of any size cannot be stored in public storage facilities or its individual units. And LP gas tanks cannot be stored inside a condominium or apartment unit anywhere above the first floor. Many condominium apartment complexes have regulations concerning the use of cooking grills that exceed fire code requirements. Check with your management, blah, blah, blah. Like I said, this is not actually an ordinance form, but it's basically part of the International Fire Code, Section 308, open flame. Layman's terms, basically, this would be asking the city to pass an ordinance that would prohibit multifamily units from unsafely using cooking apparatus and open flames, and storing propane in inappropriate manners. The reason for it and the reason why it's different than, say, me having a grill on my deck is because if my grill is on my deck and it messes up, it burns down my house. If somebody in an apartment complex or a townhome or a condominium complex or a row of townhouses sets their house on fire, they also set their neighbor's house on fire and a bunch of other people's. That's the big logic behind why it would be different. But it's just, it is not safe with that many people in such tight confined spaces and whatnot. So, would the board like to consider formally requesting that this be taken into consideration by the town?
Sure.
I see a few issues like, where the responsibility on the management of staff. We don't have a management staff.
Well,
Yeah, that's the,
We
that's
don't
the
have an
part.
HOA.
It's usually
We don't
not
have
apartment leases,
anything.
there, it's in there.
that's gonna be one that would have to be put into, the town attorney would put it into the appropriate legal language.
Okay.
We're basically just requesting that the town make an ordinance that addresses these things as this, this section of the fire code goes. This is not asking them to adopt this language. Because a chief is a lot of things, a lawyer is not one of them.
Me neither.
I would highly suggest anything that gets submitted to the city, have the city's names spelled correctly.
Yeah,
If
probably.
they want it to be taken seriously.
Yeah, I know, there's a lot of Lakeview with one word in there. Our Lakeview is one word. Jeez. I almost wanna say, is there a way we can just do that at the next members meeting and amend the name of the fire protection district to be 2 words, make it coherent? Anyway, I'll entertain a motion.
And this motion is just to,
Ask the
Ask
the
city,
city
formally
to-
request the city consider this.
I make a motion for that. I mean, that's a small thing to do.
I got a motion, do I have a second?
Get 15 people up on it. On deck, or taking in little beverage. Like the grill.
But-
you know.
I'll second it, since it's,
It doesn't
I mean, it's
matter.
not really a, okay, I'll second it.
You may not be able to vote on the ordinance, but, got a motion and a second, all in favor?
Go walk again, work, somebody in the street, and, go rough. Wash them real quick.
So I got a motion and a second to request the city take this under advisement.
Sure.
yeah, so you can make a motion.
So do we actually have any apartments in Lakeview currently?
We have one group of townhomes right now.
That's right there, by the funeral home.
Yeah, that's right, they're back, kind of behind the,
Yeah, before
What-
you get,
it's on off Tanny Hill Parkway behind the old, that mechanic
Cemetery,
shop there,
yeah.
by the cemetery. But we may have other stuff coming on. This would also technically apply to like hotels and stuff too, but they're not gonna let that happen anyway.
I don't know, so anything that new that comes on.
Alright, so, motion carries, so let's go to the second one.
Quick,
Alrighty, this one, has to do with open burning permits and burn bans. This, follows, ADM and a bunch of other stuff. A lot of people don't know this, I guess, but, there's no burning period in the state from due to ADM, according to ADM, from May 1st to November 1st.
there's a lot.
Lakeview Fire Protection, District requires burn permit for all open burns located within its district. New policy begins January 1st, 2023, and extends to the lifetime of the district and its department. May obtain a burn permit at our station, in Station 1. Definition of an open burn. Open burning is any burning that takes place outside of an approved fire pit or outdoor fireplace. Examples include burning construction debris, land clearing, property maintenance, or any fires built on the ground. No burning during the ban from May 1st to October 31st of each year, or during other times specified by ADM or when prohibited by the Forestry Commission. Location to burn cannot be located in a subdivision that has covenants against open burning, as most of them prevent that anyway. homeowner wants to burn on their property, they must provide a current copy of their HOA's covenants that do not prohibit open burning. Contractors may burn in some subdivisions with prior permission from the HOA and a burn permit issued by Lakeview Fire. Burns must be 500 feet from the nearest inhabited dwelling, not on the resident's property. Burn location must be 50 feet from any structure, and the exception is 25 feet if the fire is less than 3 feet in diameter and less than 2 feet in height. Burn time must be between 8 a.m. and sunset, with an exception of a bonfire that is in 8M's rules and regulations. Burn location must be 150 feet from the public roadway and 250 from any major highway. Natural vegetation, wood and brush only, no trash, shingles, tires, etc. Burn must be attended by an adult under no influence of drugs, alcohol for the entire duration of the ban. Permit may be revoked at any time for any violations. So basically, this is just saying that the city is going to put teeth behind our ability to go out and tell people you're not allowed to violate 8M regulations and other safety protocols, burning all about. The most common thing that this would actually impact is burning leaves. That's really what the biggest thing it's going to impact is people who rake all their leaves into a giant pile in their front yard and then set them on fire with diesel fuel and put that nice inky black smoke into the air in the middle of the neighborhood.
Alright, I got a question.
Yep.
Who is going to be issuing these permits at Station 1?
That would be, well, that wouldn't be in an ordinance anyway. Basically, it would be the fire department and wherever we can would be the ones who issue burn permits.
So I come up here on a Saturday at 12 o'clock and ask for a burn permit.
No, you come up here during normal business hours and ask for a burn permit for Saturday.
Okay. I'm just
We're
telling
having
you
a
what's
party,
gonna
Saturday.
happen.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna tell you.
We-
So,
We had a gentleman up here this week that didn't want to pay his bill because he called us because they cleared some land and was burning. He claims they're burning the house up, but they're not. From my understanding, we did go out there and they did talk to the person and I think ADM may have been contacted. That's all we could do. But he was mad at us because we're not doing our job and he didn't want to pay his $75. And luckily, the time he came, he chewed me out, and then Chief just happened to be here and came in and let him know. We have no rights. There's nothing we can do. All we can do is call ADM. We have nothing we can do.
Yeah, there's no teeth in the district right now to be able to stop it. It's all on private property, it's not an immediate danger to anybody, we can't just go stop it. All we can do is inform state authorities who come in and say, oh, you're violating this. Now, granted, if you're burning and the fire department tells you to stop and you ain't finished by the time 8M gets there, you're gonna wish that you stopped when the fire department did because their notices have a lot of teeth, like $10,000 an instance worth of teeth. You better fix all this stuff by Friday or you're gonna be paying that $10,000 kind of teeth. But you try getting 8M out there before somebody's done smoking out your entire neighborhood for 48 hours straight because they started burning Friday afternoon. And then of course the other obvious part of it too is that not burning after dark. It's just smart. It's just once again you don't want half your house, half the neighborhood set on fire because somebody decided to set leaves on fire and then leave. And I've literally seen that happen where somebody goes out and gets a giant pile of leaves in their front yard, sets it on fire, gets in their truck and drives off. Just leaves it burning in the middle of the front yard. But this would allow us to be able to call Lakeview Police Department instead of, 8M. They're a little bit more responsive.
I think it's important to note the exception though, because everybody that's reading this or might be watching this, well, there goes my fire pit. I can never have, I bought this $50 thingy that
Called a hot dog
warmer.
and a stick.
But
That's
3
exactly
feet,
what it's called. I'm cooking on this fire.
3 feet or less and 2 feet, like I said, I have a small little fire pit in my yard and we, as a community, every now and then we meet up and we make hot dogs and s'mores or
See, that's
something like that.
definitely
That's gonna
better
fall under the exception.
Approved fire
We can
pit?
still do that.
Approved fire pit and outdoor fireplace.
That's it, not on the ground.
Not on the ground. Which, I mean, if you're gonna burn leaves or something, if you're doing it
No.
smart anyway, you're gonna do it in a burn barrel or something that allows air to come in from underneath, so the smoke goes straight up anyway. Doesn't blow sparks and, you know, embers all over your yard and set the rest of it on fire while you're at it. Entertain a motion to take this one to Mr. Mayor.
Sure. I'll make a motion. Take it.
Any further discussion? Do I have a second? I'll second it myself.
Second by Dan.
Yep. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We'll be requesting the council take that one up. Last one. Now, I'm probably not gonna just read this one out loud. All of you have a
Lockbox.
copy of it. This is a lockbox ordinance. Basically, this says that if you have like our commercial buildings and stuff like that, and, you know, places that might be closed on the weekend and all that kind of stuff, they have a lockbox on the, you know, your strip mall, like up here at Taney Hill, or not Taney Hill General, Taney Hill General, or up here at, you know, El Camal and whatnot, those, those like strip mall locations and stuff.
Where you're at?
Yep, like where I'm at. Basically, you have a little lockbox that's on the side of the wall, it's like attached to the brick. We have a code to it, and there's keys to all the buildings in there in case we need to get into, you know, we don't need someplace catching on fire and we're locked out. Or we need to get in, El Camal's on fire, we need to get into State Farm and it's Sunday and they're locked out, so, basically this would just require them to have that key. And it also, has some other stuff in it, like, you know, enforcement costs and, you know, civil penalties and criminal penalties and whatnot that would be assessed for people tampering with them, like if somebody goes in there and just tries to knock the lockbox off the wall and steal the key. So, lockbox ordinance.
And the businesses will have to pay to have this installed?
Usually it's the landlord. So it's whoever the building owner is. So like in my case, it would be, Ernestine Johnson owns the building I'm in, so she'd be the one who put the key out there, and put the lockbox out there.
And if somewhere like Love's is open 24 hours, they would not need this?
I don't believe they would need to, cause it's
Probably in
just.
certain areas, well, as long as somebody's there, they would need to.
Yeah, there should
Yeah,
be somebody there that.
Every place
be able
goes
to
to
get
nurse
in
home,
any
they are
area.
too good about doing it, and I knocked the door out several times nights, in the middle of the night.
Basically, it's for places that are closed. Cause where we can't have access. Now I believe, like I said, you have to go through the, actual language of it. Like if they have like the mechanic shop, maybe it's shut down for Sunday or something, they may have to have the lockbox available for, if they were shut down for a holiday or something. Or, for instance, like, you know, they can shield off like the McDonald's that's on the side and lock it off. They probably have to, you know, somebody has to have access to that at all times, but really all it's there is to make sure that we can get firemen in the building if we need to. So, any other questions or discussion? Entertain a motion to take this one to the city.
We can let them all, ask them, let them decide.
Yeah.
You don't get none if you don't ask for them.
I'll say.
Alright, we have a motion to, request the city consider a lockbox ordinance from Mr. Oden. We have a second by Ms. Whitaker. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Public input.
It's not exactly public input, but I did, two more things. If you, Google, you know, if you Google the fire district, basically, there's a message pop, you can message us. That is a great way if you need to get in touch with us, the meetings are posted on there as well. Quick response right away, so Google message works great. And there's also an email delivery, so we can, you know, send a newsletter, straight to your inbox if you just sign up online. So if you wanna keep up to date, but you don't like social media, then that's an option for you as well.
Anything else?
Just a quick thing to piggyback on her, we've started putting the the videos of our meetings on YouTube and then just linking it to Facebook, so for the people who don't do Facebook.
Yeah, I don't do Facebook.
You go to YouTube.
I do YouTube.
We were thinking of you before you were even on the board, Daryl.
That's right. You
I
can
can't do
YouTube.
Facebook.
I'm sure
Well,
we
I
got
can't.
I'm sure we're gonna hit 1 million subs any day now. We're the most popular fire district YouTube channel on the planet.
Yeah.
Hey, I don't know, maybe we should use that for some stuff. Get Chief to do something fun. Alright, anything else, folks?
No,
Anybody got a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
We got a second?
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second. Anybody opposed? We're adjourned at 7:51. You ain't gotta go home, but